Council meeting of January 2024, 7 p.m. Get started. All right, everybody rise to the flag. Shelley, would you mind leading us to the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Blankenship. Here. Joseph. Here. Dunsmore.
Coming.
Here. Steiner.
You're not coming.
Godwin.
Here.
Conroy. Here.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Any questions, comments, adds, additions, deletions? Call for the vote.
Joseph.
Aye.
Dunsmore.
Aye.
Godwin.
Aye.
Conroy.
Aye.
Blankenship.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner could not be here tonight, but next on the list is the appointment of committees and chairmen. He has this all typed out, and these are what he has set up for this year.
I'd like to set aside acceptance of his committees until we can have a conversation with Mr. Steiner. I think there's a few things that he may not have been aware of as far as some of the appointments. So I motion that we set aside the acceptance of the committees until we can have a conversation with Mr. Steiner.
Okay, I read over the rules and ordinances today, and it just says that he appoints them. And I looked back in the past few years. I've not seen where. Well, good. Then we don't need to set it aside.
But it's not up to you. You're not part of this council. I put a motion out to council.
Okay, first of all, I have not seen where it's been. Because I was looking for that. I thought we did have votes to accept. I have not seen that in years past.
Right.
So that is one thing. So you do what you want, but I'm just saying I've not seen where that's been something that he signs them, and I'm not seeing where there's really any other options on them.
Okay, but you know what? Mr. Steiner is a reasonable man, and there may have been a few things that he may have not considered. And since he's not here to discuss it, this is a council matter. So the motion stands.
He's been on council before.
Yeah.
Well, I understand, but some of the ordinances have changed since he was on council. For instance, he is the president of council. He's also the finance chair. When in our ordinances, when that takes place, another council member has to be able to sign checks. And Ellen has been on finance committee. She was the finance chair. She is still has the ability to write those checks. I don't think Matt was on council when that transpired. So that's just one thing that maybe if we could bring that to his attention to maybe look at that portion of it.
Yeah, and in the past, we've had the same situation. The president of council is also the finance chair. We did
and
have
someone else on the finance committee signed the check.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, he doesn't have her on the finance committee. So that's just one example of something that I think maybe we should look at and discuss.
Well, didn't you say someone on the finance committee?
No.
Someone else on the finance committee. She's already needs to be able to sign checks.
Well,
She's already has the.
I could do that.
But you're not on the card to sign checks right now.
Right.
She's already on the card, is what I'm saying. You wouldn't have to go to the bank and create another thing.
Well, we still have to go to the bank and change some things because one person no longer on council who did have the ability to sign checks before, and his name needs to be taken off. So there's still the need to go to the bank no matter what at this point. I think Elle's name was taken off because I think Matt was the finance. So Matt and our previous president of council did both. They were the two that could sign it. So Ellen had been taken off for that time.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I thought they left her on, but,
No.
okay, well, still,
Yeah, any second on that motion?
no, obviously not.
Okay,
Fine.
all right. Moving on, Solicitor Monthly Report, he's not here. He's supposed to be here tonight, and we'll find out later why he was not. Give him a call. Probably the weather or something, who knows. Any unfinished business at this time? Anybody? You're all frozen, I can tell.
I'm thinking.
That's what this cold weather does. It slows down.
Yeah, that's why you look around it.
Okay, moving on, Mayor's Communications. I only have a couple things. I actually talked to the Chief of Police this week. He had a couple items for me. And I'm going to start with the easy one first. He did call me about possibly putting on our website we have a page, contact us type page. Yeah, they're doing this in New Franklin, but have on there a contact us page for the police. For people, it's not an emergency. It's just something they would like to be able to get in touch with the police. Really don't want to call and talk to them and then just fill this out online, and the police officer will call them and whatever the issue may be. And it sounds like a really good idea. If you have any interest, I can forward the email that he sent me to all of you to take a look at. Something, just look at and decide. Nothing really needs done right now about that. The other thing that was brought up is January 1st, for Happy New Year, people do a lot of things. One of the things they sometimes do is they shoot off fireworks. Now, as you know, in the state of Ohio last year, it was made perfectly legal to shoot off fireworks. What people don't realize is that underneath those headlines were certain rules and restrictions in shooting off fireworks. The amount of footage on the front yard, permits required, stuff like this, the amount of grams of of fireworks. I read through it, but it's a little more complicated than I would like to explain in 10 seconds.
You're saying there's no rules to follow if you are doing fireworks?
Well, no, there are rules to follow, but it gets a little bit trickier. That's a state law. In our local village, which this is something state law does allow for this, that we could ban fireworks if we wanted to. Well, we have banned fireworks. We banned it several years ago. But we also have stipulations there. You can get permits if you want to fire off fireworks in the village of Clinton, and there's rules surrounding that. So I would caution anyone and there's also certain days of the year you're allowed to fire off fireworks, according to Ohio Code, which I also found in January 1st is one of those times. July 3rd, 4th, and 5th is another. Juneteenth is another. And there's several others in there.
November 1st?
Yes, June 13th. Yes, that is a day listed in the Ohio State Code. It's fascinating when you read the law what all it says. That's why lawyers make a lot of money. They can write all these stipulations that to us would be a real simple line: no fireworks unless A, B, and C. So, anyways, those are the two items they called for. Now, I guess what I'm looking at for the fireworks is, I know to me, it's just my personal opinion, and this can go before council, what you'd like to do with our laws and ordinances regarding fireworks. We can leave them alone, and we're in compliance. We can make them match the state of Ohio, and it makes it easier for people, the police, especially when they're enforcing the law, if they look at, oh, this is what state of Ohio says, it's what you say. Also, New Franklin, they're revamping their fireworks laws this year. And I don't know if it's going to match the state exactly, but that's something we can look at. So when New Franklin Police, who comes out, it is a lot easier for them if they know one set of rules and can follow them the same way. So that is something that, I like to see a congruity there. I guess I think we live in a nation of, it's my own personal again, we live in a nation of way too many laws. We can simplify it some, but still make it good for all. That's all I have on the mayor's communications. You had a question?
I have a comment on that.
Okay.
Our codified ordinances, when they were revamped, when Charlie Greer first did it, and that particular section was taken right out of the ORC.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't changed when the Ohio State, was it last year when they finally?
Middle last year, I believe.
Middle last year.
Yeah.
So when that was changed, the question was asked, do we want to change ours? And it was said, and it was got a no, but I think everybody didn't even really look at what we had. So that was taken originally directly from the ORC.
Okay.
So I agree with you. I think we need to if for easy sake and for just ordinance sake and what New Franklin can pull out, if they can pull out the state law and say this is it, right? So I think it's something council needs to consider.
So is there something like meets and bounds and so on, like where you're shooting things off and how close it
Yeah.
is? Is that all
Yeah, I think it's
covered
like
really
100
well?
feet, something like that. It's there. I mean, yeah, and there's common sense about it, but you know, if you get over so much firepower, you have to get a permit. If it's under this amount, you don't have to get a permit. There are regulations. So,
It's very interesting to read.
it is.
But yeah.
But anyway, we have a laws and ordinance meeting coming up next month, so that might be something that laws and ordinance need to look at. Yep.
All right, any questions, comments on the mayor's communications, other than what we've already heard? All right, council communications and council committee reports.
Communication. Well, I had someone call me about a fireworks problem. And it's not good.
What's not good?
And I can't really say too much about it. But it was a definite complaint, and the mayor probably had it too.
Yes.
So I think we should really look at this. Could you put together what's in our, just a little pamphlet like of the rules?
Look, it's all right in here. Look under fireworks.
I want it typed out so that it's bigger, you know, you can stretch it and make it more like a,
Well, our rules right now say they're not allowed.
oh,
That's what our rules say.
Because it follows the
Not
old
allowed.
ORC.
Right.
Mhm.
under any circumstances, any size or.
Well, there's like commercial, but they have to go through and get this permit, and that would be like.
Right. I think.
There's a permit. In other words, you could just go buy fireworks today and tomorrow morning start
What you
shooting
were
them off.
saying didn't sound that restrictive.
That's
so-
how ours is currently, because ours didn't change when the ORC changed.
Which we probably should
So
have.
ours
Oh.
still restricts them completely at the.
Ours, for the most part, if general, I was gonna summarize, general says you cannot do it, but the fine print says unless you apply for the proper permits. And there's a permitting process
Right.
in our rules.
So should we change ours to the current?
That is what it sounds like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I agree with her.
Okay, well, I tell you, you guys are gonna get a chance to speak in about 2 minutes, okay? And then, yeah, you're both on the list. I'm getting ready to call on you. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, we need to agree with her that something needs to be done with that. We need to stay with the state. One person calls you and complains about it. That doesn't mean anything. You're always going to find somebody that hates something. But we can't be, we have too many rules and regulations as it is now. I mean, we need to stick with the state. Our police have a hard enough job. They can't, well, this is the state law, this is New Franklin law, but Clinton's got their own law. We need to stay pretty much coherent with them and stay the
We can
same.
never make it less than the law that's above it, can you? You can't take
No,
away.
no.
You can make it
But right now ours is stronger, it's stricter, which,
Right.
Yeah, Ohio law is written as such, we can make it more restrictive. Some laws are written, we can't do that, but that one specific one is written so we can. All right, anything else under council communications and council committee reports? Okay, next up, citizens' comments. Shelley, you are first up. You did mark yes, thank you. If you could, we have a microphone right up here for you.
It is in regards to the fireworks, and I understand, all these laws and restrictions and everything, but you can really make it simple and stay opted out of, adopting the state, allowing the fireworks. Personally, I think it would be easier because when, some stuff had happened, you call the insurance company and they're like, well, sorry, we're not covering that. It was caused by fireworks. So some of that stuff, I think people aren't thinking about either. Not necessarily damage to your property. You know, you're shooting off fireworks, it spreads fairly far. You know, and some of those laws, following the state laws, you know, you have to give a written notice to anybody with livestock if you're raising them shooting off fireworks 5 days in advance, written. And that's not happening in that regard, you know. Personally, our horses got injured that evening, broke through some fence, and, you know, it's just like, okay, well, if the village made it more aware that, hey, we were opting out of staying with the state law, probably this might not happen. So, you know, we're hoping to keep the village a little bit quieter. Everybody kind of complains about the noise anyway, so if you stay opted out, then, you know, some of that noise won't be a hindrance to and cause more problems. You know, obviously, we're probably one of the select families in the village of Clinton that still have livestock. But again, you know, I think the population doesn't really care much about that stuff, but, you know, when you've had animals their whole life and, you know, somebody's having fun for 30 minutes shooting off fireworks, fairly large ones, you're seeing debris on your solar panels that, you know, are pretty bad concern, and then also, you know, the damage to the fence and the horses' injuries and stuff like that. You know, I would love it if you guys stayed opted out, but just make it more known to those people that, hey, we're still trying to be a quiet community. Please, you know, if you want to shoot off fireworks, get a permit and go, you know, someplace, you know, local or someplace a little bit that will allow it or allow that permit. You know, that's my kind of thing on it. I love it if you guys don't work out, but I think what people assumed is you guys adopted the state law, and it wasn't well known that you guys were opting out. And I don't even know if that's it's not recorded. Yeah, it's not on the website for the communities that opted out. You know, 88 communities. I think 80 communities opted out of allowing
Oh, wow, okay.
fireworks to be shot off, and there's 127 municipalities, so you know, 88 of them opting out. I don't think you guys would stand alone backing that. But anyway, I'll let my mom talk to you. She did a lot more research on the laws and the fire marshal, what he has to go through to have to approve, like somebody that was getting a permit to have fireworks done.
These are
Shelley,
just some
thank
of
you
the
very much.
photos that I took the morning after. I was trying to call the police that night as fireworks were flying over my fence line into my horse pasture. But my dog was so scared that my phone was flying everywhere. I couldn't even get a dial in. I did call the police. There was a police report. The police didn't know the law, didn't know that we weren't.
Virginia, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
I just wanted, I didn't get a chance to you. So Virginia Sick, okay. And she's the one who owns horses. And so your email is incredible. I'm going to speak on it in just a second when you're done. Yes, you gave a lot of good detail on that.
You know what? I wrote the line. I wrote down everybody that passed that bill. My gosh, you're getting the same letter.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
It's bad. What happens is for him to set off that size of fireworks, he's supposed to be 150 feet away from a radius. He's supposed to have a radius. So he needs 300-foot frontage to set off the type of fireworks that he was setting off. So, of course, they were going over to my property. And I have a blind horse. I talked to this gentleman in the summer. I was mowing on my tractor, and they were new to the community. So I stopped and I talked to them, and they said they were from Seattle, Washington, and
things were getting bad there, you heard gunshots all the time and stuff. I said, well, it's not really different here. So, but I did tell him that the neighbor guy shot off fireworks, and he said, well, I do too. He said, is that gonna be a problem? I said, well, I have a horse that's going blind, and I do have a rescue mill dog that is scared to death whenever she sees, I can't even turn on the TV without her freaking. The lights, it's a flashing light if you have a light bulb going out or something. But, so I told him about that, and he said, well, I'll call you a half hour before I set him off. And I thought, that's real nice of you. But at any rate, the neighbors will be neighbors, and freedoms are freedoms, and so he's been setting off these fireworks every holiday, Diwali, Juneteenth, July 4th and stuff, but never to this extent. You can see the amount of fireworks. That's against my fence. I'm standing against my fence line, and he discharged those 25 to 30 feet from my horse's pasture. And so, like I say, you can see they went off for half an hour. He paused after 15 minutes, and I thought, oh, thank God it's over with. But then again, they started up. And so for a half hour, he shot off fireworks. And I found some of those circles are the debris. You can see that's in front of my beehive. That's in front of my beehive, 150 feet from where he shot those off, maybe 200 feet. So they were hitting my beehive. There was debris on my solar panels. The thing is he supposed to be bonded for $1 million?
I don't, well, he wasn't allowed to.
Your
Well, since he didn't apply for the permit, that becomes irrelevant. He wasn't even allowed to do this.
And the fire marshal is supposed to inspect the property and either license him or no license him. And then the fire marshal is responsible, he is responsible for some of the damages, but the village is responsible for other damages because his damage level only goes so high. And if I read it right, I've been reading it for 10 days. If I read it right, and if I understand it correctly.
That's if he had followed procedure and got a permit.
Yeah, he did not get a permit, so.
But if there's damages,
Which side is it done?
Is the village responsible? This is
Which
a
side?
copy of the laws by.
Which
south side of him. We're on the
Just south.
You're on the south side,
Right,
okay, all right.
Both of them shoot off fireworks on the north side and the south side, but.
We're south of.
You're just south,
We're south from the main.
this is the next property to the north.
Robinson's old house. and guess what?
Yeah, okay, I know exactly, okay, all right.
But like I say, he ignited them, but he discharged them on my property, and there is a law against that. Like I say, the distance was illegal. He's supposed to go within 12 hours and pick up his debris. His debris still lays in my yard, So like I say, he was wrong on so many issues.
Sounds like a police
My
matter.
sergeant that came out was magnificent. Heimball was just, he was just so sweet. It took me forever to find the distance because the state fire marshal, in his little 2-page excerpt of the laws to follow, didn't specify a lot of things that this 5-page, did I give you a copy of the 5-page laws? Yeah. The 5-page laws,
Yeah, take that. Thank
I
you.
wish Marshall was here.
and so at any rate, he just did so many things wrong, and I just couldn't believe when Sergeant Heimball came out, he says, July 1st of 2022, they did legalize fireworks, and I said, oh. And so the same thing happened. I figured, well, right, the fire marshal surely knows laws. So I did contact Mr. Conroy, Fire Marshal Conroy, and, he was so sweet. He said, well, I'll look into it, and he did. I mean, I had to read hundreds and hundreds of papers. Just your job descriptions was a pamphlet of 138 pages. And 130 of them had to do with budgeting. And I'm going crazy, and I thought something has to protect me here. There's got to be something. So I kept reading more and more and more. And then I thought, well, I'll go to House Bill 172. I read all of House Bill 172, and then there's a little paragraph in House Bill 172 that tells you to go to Ohio Fire Code excerpt, and that's the paper that I handed out. And it does go through the laws in more detail than the original fire marshal law, because it actually gives you the distance. I can tell Sergeant Hunt now that he has to have 150 mile radius, 150
Right.
radius.
Right, right.
Because everything kept saying, if fireworks fall on your property, call the police. So I called the police, and he said, well, as of July 1st, 2022, they legalized fireworks.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, well, they're aware of it now, and what I did is I think either before I got your email or after, I don't remember, I think it was before even, I was made aware of this situation. I did contact our solicitor. I expect him to be here tonight. He's not, by asking him if he could brush up on our fireworks laws, both state of Ohio and our Village of Clinton laws, so he's well versed in this when he came tonight. So maybe he's afraid of the fireworks. I don't know. No, he's a great guy. No, I'm kidding there. But I will talk to him before our next council meeting.
I appreciate what you said and what you did. I loved the response, and I was satisfied with it. And I quit writing all the House representatives. And so, but like I say, it was just too much. I contained my horses and thought they were safe, because even though he didn't notify me in writing, he's supposed to do that 5 days in advance and tell me at exactly what time he's going to shoot off fireworks. And even though he didn't, I expected it, so I did contain my horses. It's just that blind force was it was just too much for him.
Well, the interesting thing, I thank you. I definitely thank you for coming to the council meeting. You can see we don't get a lot of people here to visit us on these evenings, so please come back every time. But according to the details you gave in your report, which you just gave us here tonight, even if our laws did match Ohio, there are fewer and fewer places big enough to go through all the requirements to fire fireworks now. Right. Yeah. And so I don't think people realize that when they just stop and pick up a bunch. But there are requirements to go through, even if we did match it, which we don't at this time.
The House bill, I mean, they are very specific and very controlled. This guy's, whatever he bought, his name, address, everything needs to be documented wherever he purchased those. And every time there's a purchase of fireworks, the retail fireworks stores are obligated to sell the goggles and to give them a pamphlet with the laws. So he got a pamphlet of the laws.
Yes.
I didn't know the laws, but he got a pamphlet of the laws.
So now that we know for sure that regardless of what the Ohio State Code says, at that time, our code said that he wasn't allowed to do that.
Right.
So can we go back to Officer Heinball, present him with all of your evidence, and then maybe you could go, you could file, I don't know if you could file, he is, but talk to him, can you
I don't want
file something against your neighbor on damage?
You guys can get
Okay.
$1,000, it's $1,000 fine, if you want your $1,000.
No,
But,
I mean,
it's $1,000 fine if you want that funds, but I just don't want my horses to die in fear, running in fear.
right.
You know, we were just lucky they weren't on the the other side of the canal, or in the street, or down the hill.
I would have put them in the barn.
So, yeah, now we will,
Right.
anticipating, because we really think a lot of the village people, if you guys adopted the law of the state, yeah, we would definitely take a little bit,
For the horse, I did put them in a barn, but my horses don't do well in a barn.
Yeah.
They have never been locked in the barn, they've always been free-range horses. Hers is 35 years old, the one that's blind is 20, and you know what, a horse can hear their partner's heartbeat a mile away. My farrier said they can hear, he said he can sense where he is because they can hear their heartbeat a mile away. After the damage done by the 150 to 175 decibels that they were subjected to, he did not act right for about a week or two. So, but I don't feel his hearing was damaged. I can call him and he comes. But he has to be able to hear that comfort him. They stay together. That's his guide dog, and they stay together. I know it's an unusual circumstance, but, they have never had, I did stall them for the 4th of July because I knew what was coming. And I did stall them, and somebody said, well, put a radio on real loud. I thought he won't be able to hear his brother's heartbeat, But, like I say, there's certain things you do when you do what you can do, and that's why I wrote July.
Well, I can tell you, and we try to limit our citizen comments to a certain amount of time, but I did spend a lot of my childhood chasing horses, riding horses, being around horses. My least favorite part was chasing them because I chased them all over farms in Pennsylvania, and yeah, that's not fun.
But another thing, the state law, if you guys really look at it, it seems like if you guys adopted and followed the state law, it sounds like it's gonna be more a headache for, the village, and, basically your fire marshal, if these people are following the law and notifying and getting a permit to shoot off fireworks.
Well, what it sounds like to me is that even with the state law, they were not in compliance. If they would never gotten a permit. So,
Right, whether the law was changed or not, if they're not following the law now, if we opted for the state law, they're,
I don't know,
I mean, I'm confused. I apologize. I don't understand this. Like, what are you wanting us to do?
well,
I mean, I feel bad for your horses. I feel bad for your situation, but this is clearly a criminal and a civil matter. I don't see why it's a council matter.
Well, I came here because nobody seemed to know that fireworks were illegal to discharge in the village.
Did you talk to the police chief?
I talked to Sergeant Heinbaum.
Right, but the police chief, he's his boss,
He didn't know that.
but the police chief would.
Not necessarily. They don't look at our code.
they by the time they got to me, they had looked it up. They had to look it up. And this is why I like to see the rules be the same all the way around.
Well, I think the rules definitely need to be the
Yeah.
same because we can't ask New Franklin. I mean, they don't really kind of like us, from my feeling as it is.
We pay them
We
more
do.
than enough money.
We pay them a lot, but then for them to have
But
more, they got to have the state rules, New Franklin rules, Clinton rules. It'd be much easier to have the same, and even if we opted with the state rules, this wouldn't have changed this. We got a guy that
Right.
criminally broke the law.
Right.
He
Right.
civilly hurt her property. So whether we change the law or not, nothing would have changed.
Right. I will say this, that,
Just one awareness.
right, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we thank you for that. We thank you very much for
They
that.
have those computers, and they're supposed to have our ordinances, which anybody can look up online.
Sure.
And all they need to do is punch it in and look it up.
Right.
That
But-
doesn't always happen, so, yeah.
All right.
And this officer, he explained to me that many times he was called out for the 4th of July, and he was in very tiny developments, housing developments, and people were setting off fireworks, and they were falling all over everybody.
Mhm.
And he didn't know that it was, that they had to be 150 feet.
Well, that's only if it's a certain grade.
Right.
Now, if they're doing smaller fireworks, then the radius is different.
It's 50
But what that guy was doing, and see, and that's the other thing. The police officers have to judge, is that the right?
Yeah, well, all the
Firepower, yeah.
boxes were out there.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's still.
I was told that person was in,
1.3 G in there? I think he had 1.3 Gs in there, because they went who saw them? Who saw them from their you were too close. There were people very far away that saw them.
I could see them over the treetops.
Yeah.
I mean, they
yeah.
were and I'm over,
They
over,
looked like
the
they
beginning of
were
Warwick.
signs
I was
that
next
you
door.
get permission for
Oh,
and to go
yeah, it was a lot.
for showing.
But I will have to say, we were sick the whole holiday season, and we just was starting to feel good. And I went. It was. I mean, I opened up the door to let the bad year out and welcome in the new year. And I heard fireworks, and I went out and I saw those fireworks, and snow was coming down. I sat there and cried because I was like, okay, maybe it's all over now. But I'm sorry that hurt you.
Like I say,
Very long.
Yes.
All right, I would like to,
Yep.
thank you very much.
It was very lengthy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd heard that. I'd heard that was. So I want to make this one comment. Every year, for our Run to the Wall event at the park, I do bicycle support. And in that bicycle support, I go around and we have almost every New Franklin police out for running traffic. And I stop and talk to everyone as I'm waiting for the runners to catch up. I got to say, we have a very good working relationship with New Franklin. They are very glad to be a part of this. And during times of contract negotiations, they have thanked me. They said, we were really concerned. You guys may not decide, and we're really thankful that you are sticking with us. So they do like being part. And this every year, I talk to 13 to 16 police officers on that ride alone. So I'm very happy with what we've got here. Thank you very much, and please come back as this gets rolled out. We'll have a committee meeting on laws and ordinances, and I don't know what's going to happen, but this is definitely something that sounds like it's going to be addressed. Resolutions and ordinances? Nothing. Okay. New business? Anybody?
I guess it's not new business. I guess I'll wait till general discussion.
Okay. Last call, new business. Council, general discussion.
Okay. Have you all looked at your email about the fire lane and that Metro Parks is not really wanting to clear out and use the old fire lane that we had years past? That was very disappointing to me. It wouldn't take a whole lot to clear that out, and the rock bed is there. We still need to do something about access to South Second and Stumptown and that whole area when the railroads are blocked. In the email, it suggested that maybe we contact the railroad and see if we can put a road, extend that so that they can go alongside the railroad to get out there. We just need to stay on this. I'm not sure. I thought Kevin might be here. I would have liked to have known who they spoke to at the county, at the Parks Department. I don't know if we need to go to the next level, whether we go to our Summit County representative.
I think so.
And say, this something needs to be done. This is a good option. If not, just from working with the railroads and knowing how they are not always real, receptive to working with communities. Maybe in this instance this would, but I think we need to get in more firepower to move on this in some way, because we cannot. I don't think it's fair or right that we have a nice big section of our community that at any given time when the tracks are blocked, their lives are at stake.
I
So-
didn't speak to Kevin, but I spoke to Terry. Terry said he was there at that meeting.
Yeah.
And, to me, it sounds like they talked to a nobody. I hate to use that word, but it sounds
Yeah.
like they talked to somebody low on the totem pole. And their thought was that it was too close to the railroad track and they couldn't use a bulldozer to get back to that bedrock because of the trees. And I asked them, so I looked it up while I was talking with him, looked it up on my phone. I said, well, if it's more than 25 feet, you don't have to ask the railroad. Did anybody measure it? And of course, he said nobody measured it. So I think at this point in time, we need to go out there, measure it, see where it is, and then get somebody higher up on the totem pole on the Park and Recreations and ask them.
Right.
Because right now, to me, it just sounded like a couple beer drinking buddies was out there and trying to recite law without knowing what the law was.
Okay, well, I'll reach out to Kevin and get the name of the person.
Yeah, and ask them about that railroad, because like you said, they said that they thought it was too close, and they said if you're within so many feet, you gotta have permission of the railroad. And whoever the Park and Recreation guy was, they said that there's no way that the railroad is gonna give them permission without asking.
Well, without asking,
Right.
okay, but I mean, there was access at one time, so there's precedent.
Sure.
Because there were 3 houses that were right along the railroad over there. And their driveway went right through there.
Mhm.
And then it continued on to the Mayberry's property.
Yep.
And that was the access to get over there to save anybody but Tom got tired of people just plowing through there, so he cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there, yes, stuff has grown up, but,
I went
One
back
way-
there. I didn't think it was that bad.
right, I could probably walk it, you know, I grew up walking that path. So, all that to say, if you're right, and you probably are, from your assessment of talking, that we need to go to the next level, I think,
I
so.
agree.
I have a question.
Mhm.
You open that, what's to stop the people with four-wheelers and,
Well, we put a gate across there with a code that.
so they're gonna have to get out of their vehicles, go put the code in. What if it's in the middle of winter and it's frozen?
Well, that's something we all need to look at.
Well, one of the things that for the park, for the towpath there, you know, there's this things go up with a lock in there. They're made in such a way that should there be an emergency, nobody stops to unlock it. The ambulance can actually drive right over it, break it down, go through it. So that if there's an emergency, I don't think any gate or barrier is going to stop. We can be fixed later. Let's get to the emergency.
I think the four-wheelers too, they're gonna go down the railroad track like
They do that
anyway.
now.
Right, like they do right now
Like,
anyways.
yeah, that's exactly what they do
But I
now.
guess
And you're right, there's that's an open invitation to people like that.
It is.
But stopping a four-wheeler from doing something that he's not supposed to or not doing something because a four-wheeler may use it or saving that person's life, I think it's worth it, worth the risk.
I agree.
Well, the thing I'm looking at, where I'm still stuck at, is the incident that I think we're all referring to. Everybody was on this side of the tracks. If you had a right of way on the other side of the tracks, I don't think that would have helped anybody because they were stuck over here. There were 6 fire departments waiting for the train. The train did work well. They did within 15 minutes to separate the train so they could get through, which 15 minutes still a pretty good time. We used to have 2-minute response time. By the way, we have an excellent fire department. 2-minute response time is fantastic in my book. It'd be nice not to have had that delayed at all, but I don't see where a path on this side is going to keep everybody stuck on this side of all 3 tracks from getting through, unless I'm really not seeing
But
where that path is.
But we have access to this station here with emergency vehicles
Right.
in it. So if the people get there, they go down the path, they get there. Anyone from Canal Fulton that could have come, they could have gone down that path. So that's the point. No one went this way because there was no access to get there from this way. That's why they were all over there.
Yeah.
So.
I think too, if Warwick is blocked, which happens quite often,
Mhm.
and this isn't blocked, they can cross here, go down that road, and get to where they need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because our train, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I hate our train. I mean, if I'd like to go back in time and be Billy the Kid, that train causes more blockages And we gotta do whatever we can to help the people over there, because, again, if Warwick's blocked, and this isn't, at least we can get over this way.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But in that particular situation, all three were blocked. And there's nobody at this fire station at the time.
Yeah, but they could have been.
Yeah.
There could have been, but there was no use
Mhm.
going here because there was no access from here.
Mhm,
That's why they
right.
didn't come here. That's why we man this station. I mean, not man this, that's why we have the equipment for this purpose. So when it is blocked, someone can come and service this side. It also could work that same way if we had access.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the flood.
But it's worth further investigation, anything to make our village safe from all for, so.
Yeah.
Any other general discussion? Everybody staying warm
So far.
so far? Okay. All right, presentation of purchase orders and bills for approval.
No. Motion to approve the purchase orders and pay the bills?
Second.
All right, any questions, comments, discussion on the finances? All right, call for the vote.
Genselmer,
Aye.
Godwin,
Aye.
Conroy,
Aye.
Blankenship,
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
All right. Last item on the list, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second. I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.